Speaking of other battles, though, man, not all of them are corporate here on the Steam Zone. We do have some other things going on in the world. There's been some rumor mill in overdrive this week. Warships down off the coast in Latin America and South America, in the Caribbean. We've had will he or won't he kind of conjecture, is the president preparing to bomb the land of Venezuela to go after President Nicolas Maduro, who he says this administration has claimed is a drug dealer, is a member of the drug cartels out there in Venezuela. Kind of interesting how where we are right now. It was not that long ago. It was January of this year that President Special Envoy Ric Grennell met President Maduro in Venezuela in that gold palace. We thought, oh, maybe these guys both like gold. Maybe there's a friendship here. The deal they had sealed, it was 6 Americans who had been detained in the country in exchange for hundreds of Venezuelan migrants. And these migrants were people that our administration said belonged to Tren de Aragua, this horrendous gang that does some horrific things, and not the least of which is importing large quantities of drugs into the United States. I mean, this was just about 9 months ago, and now we've got 8 warships circling the waters. We've got bombers kind of strafing the coast. We've got 10,000 troops in the area. What's the case, Ben, for more engagement in Venezuela, military engagement?
I mean, it sounds like I don't want to steel man the argument. We've got. I think what I think about is the 2001 AUMF is still being used, which is really interesting, right? Our
authorization of use of military force.
9/11 authorization of military force. So that's the justification for this in terms of legal, which is really interesting, right? Because we're still living with a document that was written 24 years ago that they're now authorizing action in Venezuela.
Lay this out for us, because you're familiar with that. That document was focused on the global war on terror. It allowed the president not to just strike Afghanistan, but to go after terrorists anywhere where they threaten U.S. interests.
And it allows you to go after nations, terrorists, groups, people that are support of terrorism. And so pretty broad definition. Again, not a lawyer, but I think everyone should at home, as a good citizen, go read that document, right? Because that document is the law, right? Signed into law by Congress. That is a really important document that we influence and live by today, right? So there's really interesting stuff on the legal side for this authorization of force. And then there's a whole dynamic. I mean, you've got the 22nd MEU right now, Marine Expeditionary Unit in Puerto Rico, so nearby, hanging out. So willing, we're covered in that AOR, thanks to the Marines, you're welcome. But there's a lot of obviously nerves around this country, Venezuela, which has a shit ton of natural resources, but also has a lot of political turmoil. And so this is in our sphere of influence, right? Like, this is in America. So this obviously affects us. And so, it's something we should keep an eye on to make sure, we care about this region, obviously.
Is this just a return to the Monroe Doctrine? This is America's backyard, and like, hey, get out of here with your foreign. Like, no, we're not doing socialist influence in Venezuela. New York City is fine, but not in Venezuela. Is that like the line, or is there something else going on here?
Yeah, it's a new world, and it's the old world, right? Everything changed, right? We were talking about nuclear, and here we are testing nuclear weapons just like we were, in the Cold War.
Not yet. We'll see. We'll see if we go to test.
So what is new is old, and what is old is new. And so I don't. You'll tell me what we'll keep you updated on the Steam Zone, whether what we do next in Venezuela.
Well, look, I think it's more than look. Folks maybe get their breaking news from other platforms. Where I think we maybe have an opinion is when you talk about, all right, what is actually going on here beneath the headlines. Look, Venezuela is a really interesting and somewhat important country. Not only is it physically located so close to the U.S., we've talked about the resources that country has, but it also has become, it's sort of substituted from Colombia, at least in the American psyche. Of the gangs out of Venezuela, Tren de Aragua, has been brutal here in this country. the drug inflows. I don't have numbers in front of me. We'll get those maybe for next week. Drug inflows from these different countries. This is a return to the war on drugs is really what this is, more than a return to the war on terror. Now you can use those two. We could say, hey, drugs are terror. The cartels are the real terrorists. I think that is what we're seeing this administration kind of make that claim. It's a little bit different in that terrorists fly bombs into buildings and cartels. They sell you a product that is horrible, but they're generally not coming over and forcibly injecting those drugs into American arms. So, maybe this is just an academic point. I think there's some nuance there. It's got to be very hard to argue that hey, this is a good thing, and we should welcome the drug dealers, and we should welcome the drug inflows into the United States of America. You're not going to hear that argument from me. I don't think you're going to hear that argument here on the Steam Zone, where we do need to kind of determine, hey, what does it mean to operate within the construct of the rule of law? Is how are we? Is this a law enforcement operation, or is this a military operation? For folks sitting at home, there are different authorities, different titles that operates under. Title 10, Title 13. There's different governing statute that allows you to interact differently. Ben's mentions the AUMF, exceedingly broad document, right? And what we're seeing right now, and we've seen for 2 decades, is the consequences of a Congress that has abdicated its responsibility to, and then gets upset. They'd rather yell about how the government, the president didn't ask their permission, but they've still never repealed the AUMF. This has been, we've been through a few chapters here. It happened around Libya in the Obama administration. It's come up, again and again. There will be a small caucus of folks who says, hey, we really need to repeal that document and make the executive come to us. Well, they haven't done it. Surprise, surprise. And so as a result, you do have kind of a fairly expansive definition. No love lost here for the cartels. I'd love to see us going after Tren de Aragua. These are not good people. You also want to, I think, see us do that in a way that, one, is clear to the American people what's happening, it's clear why it's happening, and that it operates within some sort of legal framework. So we will stay tuned by this time next week. I'm sure there'll be some new developments down in Venezuela.
Great overview, Noah. Seriously, we need, as citizens, I think, to understand what's going on in the world. Not if it doesn't just directly affect us. It's important to know all of what our government's doing on our behalf.
As long as we're not going after the Zyn manufacturers, Ben, those guys are above reproach here. All right, we're going to cut this.
And we're accepting sponsorship from not only Palantir, from Zyn or Alp, anyone who wants to come on and support the Steam Zone. We will accept.
Here it is. Ding, 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 ding. The best time of Ben's week.
Let's do it. All right, we got a problem here in New York. We have 3 big events going on. Halloween, the marathon on Sunday, and an election on Tuesday. That is too much. We need to space these things out. I need my time monitoring data for the election. I need my time out cheering for the marathon. And we all need our time out dressing up and having a great time in New York City for Halloween. All 3 of these events are very New York events, very fun, and have their own, special time associated with them. And it's crazy that they were just jamming it all into 3 days. So come on, the calendar masters, we need to work this out better for next year.